Marshall, CEO of Managing Partner of Diverse and Engaged and Girlfriends Pray. This sister is bad. Did you hear me? She owns 2 companies. I said Diverse and Engagement and Girlfriends Pray. Because Lord, right now we need a lot of prayers. And speaking of winning and owning our power, we do this by protecting our rights and freedom, preserving our history, promoting diversity and democracy, and by participating in our votes. Sisters, put your hands together and help me welcome our host this evening, Dee Marshall. Come on, girl, take it away. Oh, we're going to
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Good day, gorgeous, greatness, beautiful, fabulous, amazing women, women of God. I'm going to say that again. Good day, gorgeous, greatness, amazing, beautiful, fabulous, amazing. Clap for yourselves. A round of applause for this, the official kickoff of the Black Women of Power Summit, National Coalition on All Things Fabulous. Mama, we're going to do this one more time because I feel the energy is real low here, and we're going to need to bring the energy levels up, okay? Yes or yes, somebody. Yes or yes, somebody. Yes or yes, somebody. Because what we don't need, it would be nice if we had some background music, but baby, when Black women show up, we are our own music. Say yes or yes. So we're going to say this one more time. If you are glad that God woke you up this morning, if you are glad that you are here in the building, if you are glad to be who you were created to be, stand up. Some people are still sitting down, and I'm going to give a pass to my African sisters, but I'm going to say it like this. My sister, my sister, my sister. We welcome you here, and is everyone who is able to stand standing? All right, and so a round of applause for your beautiful, fine selves. All right, and all right. All right, so again, I want to say welcome. Yes, my name is D.C. Marshall, and I'm the CEO and Managing Partner of Diverse and Engage, and I am delighted to be here again to help kick off the BWR Women of Power Summit. Now, I am one of your co-hosts for this evening, and I want to give the charge and the agenda for how we will spend our time. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to bring up the beautiful, fabulous, and amazing Melanie Campbell and the beautiful, fabulous, and amazing. We have a Wanger, and probably, is there a Wanger tribe or Wanger nation? What do we call, is it Wanger nation? Okay. She's going to let us know when she gets here. We are going to hear from Carolina Wanger. We're super excited. And then there are so many other amazing women who are on the agenda for today and over the next few days. So pace yourself to sustain yourself. So let me say this again, and I want you to repeat after me. Pace yourself to sustain yourself. Okay, we're going to say this again because 2024, we are in for a ride, but we are built for this. Yes or yes? So pace yourself to sustain yourself. So I want to share with you the manifesto for this fine evening and the theme for this year's summit. At the beginning of the year, I'm going to speak to Wanger woman and all of the Wanger women in the room. At the beginning of the year, Melanie had a conversation with her team, and it was about, 2024, we are in for a ride. But that's how we frame it. It's not anything else. Not it's going to be bad. No. Not it's going to, no, we're in for a ride. but we are going to need to pace ourselves to sustain ourselves, because what you can't do is be a liability for the culture. What you can't do is burn both ends of the candle and then you go down, because who's going to call your mother, your father, your sister, the brother to tell them that you're not coming? And so pace yourself. I'm going to share our manifesto after we move this along, but I want you to say, as Melanie Campbell, as we bring her to the stage, pace yourself to sustain yourself. And we're going to come back to that. So she is Melanie L. Campbell. She is a fierce advocate, a champion, a leader. She is the one who the White House calls her, but the culture trusts her. When the White House wants to know about Black women, she is the one who is at the table. Yes, yes, Miss Cora. Yes, yes. When they want to know who do Black women trust to guard and to gatekeep our community, she is Melanie Campbell. So when I bring up the president and the CEO of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation, the convener of the Black Women's Roundtable, can I say, all rise, Melanie L. Campbell!
All right, ladies, good evening. Can we give our sister, our host, you have so much power, D, spiritual power, Dr. Skinner, you know, I'm telling you, don't y'all feel it? I feel it. And so we're going to come back to that manifesto, because what she talked about has sustained me and made me look in the mirror and put it on my refrigerator. Pace yourself to sustain yourself. Preachers in the room, that's a word, that's a sermon. So good evening. Welcome to the opening plenary of the 13th annual Black Women's Roundtable Women of Power National Summit. Today, we gather not only to celebrate Black history, can we celebrate Black history, which is American history, or better yet, Black HerStory, but also to commemorate this month. I am proud and mostly humbled that we've expanded global women's empowerment from a session to a full day, where we started with a global roundtable session with representation from Nigeria, Guyana, Kenya, Ghana, Colombia, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and if I left you out, just holler. Any other countries I left out? Dominican Republic. Black women have always, you know, we've always been a force. And this election turnout will be important. I'm gonna come back to that. And I'm gonna come back to the rest of my remarks, because when I make a promise to somebody who I know is moving and grooving and getting stuff done and has to be somewhere early in the morning, I promised her I would get her in here, and she came, and she's been with us all day. So we wanted to honor her. We've been trying to honor her for about a year. And so this one worked out. And so someone could get this award for me. I'm going to give our Sistars Award, our first global empowerment award, quite frankly, to our sister, Ms. Caroline Wanger, President and CEO of Essence Ventures. But before she comes up, we had an awesome time in that session, and you blessed us with your story. And so we're going to show that, because some of you all weren't able to be there for the pre-convening show, and this is on purpose. It's no words, no sound. So don't say, Melanie, we can't hear. Hear with what you see on that screen, and it will reflect who Caroline Wanger is. She is my ride or die girl. I'll go all the way with you, because I knew it from a distance, but now I know it more intimately. So can we show a bit of Caroline Wanger's story? Are we ready? Yes. And we could just be, we just want to have quiet. If we can just be quiet and watch it. Thank you. Caroline Wanger, your story is a gift. You are a beacon of inspiration and empowerment for Black women everywhere. Through your visionary leadership as the driving force behind Essence Ventures, which includes Afropunk and BeautyCon, which I did not know. Maybe some of you else y'all do. I did not know the full connection. You have taken the Essence, quote unquote, brand and keeping it there for next generations. How many folks with the Essence Festival? How many have been to most of them? Right? I know I grew up with them because it's a party with a purpose. Caroline, your unwavering commitment to amplifying diverse voices and creating spaces where Black women can thrive has revolutionized the media landscape. You have shattered glass ceilings, challenged stereotypes, and paved the way for countless individuals to follow in your footsteps. Please join me. I would say much more, but you got to catch that plane. Our sister, Caroline Wanger, President and CEO of Essence Ventures.
Y'all think TSA gonna let me take up the thing? Oh. Mel is right, I do have to catch a flight, but the ability to fellowship with this group is something I have no regrets about. I am just a girl. I'm just a girl who has probably lived most of your lives in some way, shape, or form as you have lived mine. I am so grateful for an award that has been aligned to my name, but I'm gonna offer you
Please welcome the beloved community Civic Leadership Award recipient, President and CEO of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and the convener of the Black Women's Roundtable, Melanie Campbell.
And Bernice, you know, I'm not one to not know how to speak, but I'm a little speechless. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. French. That was really cool to get him. Thank you. It's extra special to receive this from, and to have it be presented from Dr. French. As I look out this room, I'll get in trouble, so I'm going to stick to the script. So good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Bernice King and the King Center for this honor. I am humbled to be receiving this award alongside esteemed and deserving recipients. As the President and CEO of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and convener of the Black Women's Roundtable, I have deep appreciation for the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Mrs. Coretta Scott King and their tireless work in the pursuit of civil rights and justice. Bernice, as you know, I was born in Mims, Florida, Harriet T. Moore country. But I call Atlanta my second home. Atlanta is where I found my calling and began the path to follow in the footsteps of our civil rights giants. And I was blessed to be trained and mentored at the King Center and SCLC and learned about King and nonviolence and organizing from Mrs. King. Bernice, because you had those training sessions, right? We had those conferences with you. Reverend Dr. Joseph and Evelyn Laurie, Congressman John Lewis, Mrs. Ella Mae Brayboy, Miss John Dale Johnson, Maynard Jackson, Ambassador Andrew Young, Blue Crew in the household of Lisa, and many others. After graduating from Clark College, now Clark Atlanta University, I dedicated my life to fight for racial, economic, gender, and social justice for and with our people. I feel blessed to pay it forward at my alma mater, where we are establishing the National Coalition's Thomas W. Deutsch Jr. Institute for Leadership, Civic Engagement, Economic Empowerment, and Social Justice, and our Southern Regional Office. This institute will serve as a place to to organize, and expand the work of our organization in the South and for future generations. It has inspired and guided me in my own efforts to create a more equitable and just society. We are living in a time where our rights and freedoms are under attack. The legacy of the civil rights movement is more important now than ever. We must continue building coalitions and fighting for progress in building the beloved community. Thank you, Bernice. Thank you to the King Center. And I'll be crazy not to forget, thank my family over there who's here with me. There are 3 rabbits to talk. I am deeply grateful and inspired to continue this important work in the spirit of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Mrs. Coretta Scott King, and the entire King family. And I just want to lift up Cleo Orange, and Jamada Orange, who continued the legacy of Reverend James Orange, who also taught me the importance of staying in my lane, but also the importance of understanding that we all have a role to play in making sure our communities not just survive, but that we thrive. So thank you, and God bless you. Thank you very much.
in your work? Raise your hand. And then if there was somebody raising their hand that touched you, I want you to raise your hand. Okay. So you can see the ripples of her life. I'm still getting used to the fact that my friend has crossed over, even though I was there. But I will just say very quickly that that Carlotta Scott was love. She had a politics of love, tough love, soft love, all the love, but love. And those of us who had the opportunity and the honor and the benefit of her wisdom are forever changed. And how we deal with our sisters was shaped and changed by how she dealt with us. Some of us had the unfortunate experience of coming in contact with some sisters who were not quite like sisters in our work, where people were blocking and doing all the things, hating. And Carlotta was not that person. And for some of us coming up, when we came up, it was a breath of fresh air. The generosity, the honesty, just the realness, the pulling the curtain behind the, so you could see what was going on in the political world that other people would not explain to you and just have you out there looking foolish. She was not that person. So I just want to say to all of you, let us just continue to remember her and all of our mentors, because if Black women don't hold our HerStory, no one else will. So can you all say Carlotta Scott?
This is a tough one. What I remember is moving to California in the mid-'80s, and I moved to Southern California. Carlotta was in Northern California. And my first trip to Northern California with a group of young political folk, we went up there and we had a mission. We were gonna change some things and shake some things up. And I lived in the suburbs, and my complaint was that, why the Black women won't come to the suburbs? We Black too. And got up to the Capitol, ready to tear some stuff up. And Carlotta pulled me aside. I didn't know her. And she said, you got the right idea, but you got the wrong instructions. And from that point on, every time she saw me, she would say, I need you to come to the house. She wanted to teach me some things. And there's a difference between hating and being mean and having an intention to teach somebody something. And this sister took every opportunity she had to mentor. It would be on the run. It would be if you were at a meeting. She would always ask me, what are you doing out there in that valley? Are you changing some things in that valley? And so in January, she fought a good fight. That sister had the biggest smile on her face in January. We did a prayer call for her and with her. And she was smiling and she was happy and she talked about the treatment she was going through. And it really did remind me, Dr. Skinner, of going through that treatment. And I wondered if I had the same joy. I thought I did, but this woman showed up so we could hold two things. This is what I'm going to end with. My heart is heavy, but my soul is so glad because I met a sister who not talked about it, but did it. She showed us how to love each other. And yes, she expected excellence. She was like, you can't come out here looking raggedy. Get it together. You can come out, but not today. Get it together. And I loved her for that. And Melanie, I thank you for the opportunity to just share that. I pray for her family and all those from California to DC and across the country and the world that she touched, all the work she did with the Mandela Foundation, all the work she did with bringing Nelson Mandela to this country. I couldn't figure out how one woman could do as much as she did. And I'm so grateful with this heavy heart that we had that time together. Thank you.
Carlotta Scott. Say it with me. Carlotta Scott. Ramona Edlin. Say it like they can hear it in heaven, but say it with the soft voice. Carlotta Scott. Ramona Edlin. And Carlotta was a wee girl. So everybody has a candle and everybody has a heartbreak. Sorry. Ooh. Say the name of that loved one that's an ancestor for you. Say their names. Janet Campbell, Ruby Campbell Puya, Adrian Dennis.
Yes, Noble Williams.
So we just take a moment, and Carlotta's, I think her children are watching. So we want to say it really loud, like Carlotta would say it, Cora. Say, Carlotta Scott! We love you! Carlotta Scott! We love you. We will never forget to remember Carlotta Scott and Dr. Ramona Edlin. Thank you all for allowing us to take this time. I'm looking at my watch because I want to get y'all out of here, but there was no way. And the last thing, and I think Cookie will be, and then will be okay. One of the last things that Carlotta Scott asked to do was, in lieu of flowers, she said, donate to the Black Women's Roundtable. So, in other organizations. And so she was Black Women's Roundtable, is Black Women's Roundtable, and will forever be Black Women's Roundtable. Thank you.
All right. All right. Is this on? All right. What a tribute. And we are so grateful for the moment and the tribute, just to recognize. Now we're going to move to a really special moment, and on the program is the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center for Blacks in Wax Performance. This is always a really powerful moment within the program. So I'm going to bring up the founder of Recreation Wish List, committee board member, NAA or NCBCP. Let me say that one more time. The founder of Recreation Wish List, committee board member of NCBCP, but she's so much more. You all know her as a pillar, a champion, a fierce advocate, a fierce mentor, an anchor, First Lady of the city, Washington, D.C., and she is none other than Cora Masters Berry. So we're going to bring her to the stage. We're going to bring, yes, a round of applause. Maybe we could do better than that. We can do better than that. We can do better than that for a pillar, a fierce advocate, and anchor. She is on the front line, and she is the one who is sown into so many. We welcome her to the stage. Again, Cora Masters-Berry, everybody.
Good afternoon, good evening. We do this every year. For how long now, Melody? What happens is the Southeast Tennessee Learning Center is a place where we grow people, we grow children. I could tell you a lot about it, but we do an annual program called Blacks and Wax. We started over 17 years ago because when I stopped being First Lady, while I was First Lady, I was a political science professor for 22 years, but the two didn't gel, being First Lady and being in the college, you know how that goes. So I founded an organization, and long story short, I built a building called the Southeast Tennessee Learning Center. Who has ever been there? Raise your hand. I can't describe it. You won't understand it till you get there, but it's a special place. But because I was there, I didn't see any reason, because I wasn't in the classroom, that I couldn't keep teaching. I had approximately 200-300 kids a year, and I wanted them to know their Black history. How many of you ever tried to teach children Black history? It's not easy. I got them popcorn, I showed them eyes on the prize, I did everything. And they was just a little bit interested. So one year I said, well, why don't we just do a play? So we did a little play in the library. It was successful. We're now on the stage of the Kennedy Center. And we go up Saturday. And we've been doing that for 10 years. And both of the programs have been related to justice, has been related to what's going on in the country. We always lift up our sisters. One of the ones most consistently portrayed during Blacks and Wax has been Melanie Campbell, Tamika Mallory. I can just go down the list. But this year we had a kind of a departure because I studied and watched hip hop and the 50th year anniversary, and I was like, you know, what we do here is we inspire, we build, we teach, we educate, and we entertain. But the most important thing for these kids to do is to learn from the beginning that they can do it. These are not actors. They didn't even do Easter. How many used to do Easter speeches? They didn't even do Easter speeches. They're just kids in the neighborhood. And they came to the process by saying, I can't, I won't, and from there you'll see tonight. And it builds something in them that stays with them for a lifetime. That's why I do it, because it's really hard. So tonight I looked at hip hop and I said, they're being superficial with it. Hip hop hit globally for many, many years. And we put this show on Friday, and we kept saying, on Friday at 1 o'clock, we had school kids and we had seniors. And seniors used to talk back because, you know, they knew Martin Luther King, and don't let Marion Barry be a character. They act like he was alive. And so I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work for them. Guess who had the most fun? The seniors. The kids couldn't even keep up. Deduct 50 years from all of your lives. The older people, you were like, what, 20, 30? So you grew up with hip hop, right? But there's a lot of stories behind it. And I'm not going to spoil the show. I just want to put it in context. We have over 60-something kids going up on stage and in a museum at the Ark. I'm saying at the Ark on Friday and Saturday at the Kennedy Center. This is just a little taste of it. And one particular character I really want to emphasize, we talked about my sister Carlotta and my sister Ramona Edelin. We had a leader also, and her name was C. Dolores Tucker. She was a firestorm, and we miss her. And she had a big impact on hip hop. How do you all remember how she fought that? So I think we should honor not just the music, but we should honor the culture and the struggle. I present to you the narrator of the production, Miss Queen Latifah.
UNITY, that's a unity. I feel like I'm privileged to be a part of this elite community, to share not just my journey, Queen Latifah's life, but the story of hip hop, as it continues to be not just a mirror of what is, but a reflection of what can be. Now, we've come a long way with protest raps and protests about the raps, changing lyrics, and men and women sometimes vibing together, oftentimes not on the same page. The hip hop nation is thriving. It will continue to define itself as each generation of artists continues to tell their story. And some of these stories have not yet ended. So what have we gained from the protests of C. Dolores Tucker and others? Well, the FCC started monitoring our lyrics and established clean versions with parental advisory labels on the vinyls to inform parents of inappropriate references like profanity, language, and sexual content. We had to become more accountable. We got this. I think that women are fearless now. We say what we want, and we're not taking a mess. We don't have to just be in the background dancing and shaking. We got something to say too. You gotta let them know it's not all a man's world, it belongs to us all. Now, message rap, it's been a part of hip hop culture from the beginning. We don't always know what the message is because some artists are more conscious than others. But one very important artist is Sister Soldier.
My mantra is to work with and alongside any human of any race, faith, or culture who lives to add the good in the world and not the evil. I grew up in the Bronx, and I'm a graduate of Rutgers University with a degree in American history and African studies. In my college years, I traveled throughout Europe, Russia, England, Spain, Portugal, and Finland, and I was a major participant in the International Student Anti-Apartheid Movement that helped create momentum, movement, and fervor that liberated Nelson Mandela. We must work together. I'm a writer with 5 national bestsellers, but I also became a hip-hop artist to spread the word to young folk. Before the political shutdown and attack on American First Amendment rights, I was a young voice in New York radio that spoke to the hip-hop audience about politics, culture, business, and social organization. This includes being a featured speaker at the Million Woman March, appearances on Oprah Winfrey, Larry King Live, and the cover of Newsweek magazine. My CD was called 360 Degrees of Power. It sparked international debate over issues of race, culture, sexism, and politics. And I learned that the truth makes people uncomfortable. So much so that now, whenever a politician doesn't agree with what someone like me is saying, it is called a Sister Soldier moment. You better believe it.
Just deplorable language. But Sister Soldier wasn't too bad. It was unacceptable and perpetuated violence in our communities. My work and my life's dedication are civil rights and women's rights. I marched with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for these issues, and I know one thing for sure: gangster rap puts this work in reverse. It is demeaning to all women. It is misogynistic, and I'm on a crusade against it. I am here to put the nation on notice that violence perpetuated against women through the music industry in the form of gangster rap will not be tolerated any longer. Principle must come before profit. Our young people are being influenced negatively by the lyrics and the graphics of this music. As soon as I heard this Snoop Dogg album, Doggy Style, I said enough is enough. I established the National Political Congress of Black Women Entertainment Commission, headed by Dionne Warwick, Melba Moore, and others. The primary goal is the task of establishing and maintaining strategies for the reshaping and maintaining positive images to preserve the dignity and heritage of our youth. I put everyone on notice: Snoop Dogg, Suge Knight, Jay-Z, Eminem, and Tupac, letting them know that there are 3 things wrong with this music: obscene, obscene, obscene.
Thank you very much. Y'all take another bow. Thank you, Melanie.
Once again, thank you to Cora Masters Berry and the performers from the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center's Blacks and Wax performance.
That was amazing, was it not?
Well, you know, when you see our children learn and perform and stand in front of this incredible audience, when you see our babies do that, we know we're gonna be okay. Yeah, give it up again for those incredible children. I am Becky Pringle. I am an 8th grade science teacher who has the honor and the privilege of representing the 3 million members of this nation's largest labor union, the National Education Association. It is such an honor to be here with you tonight, to stand with you, to be of you, and to just take all of this brilliance and beauty in. Activism is a moral posture, a steady state that propels you forward from one hard hour to the next. Believing that you can do something to make things better, you do something rather than nothing. You assume responsibility for the privilege of your abilities. You do whatever you can. You reach beyond yourself in your own imagination and in your wish for understanding and for change. You admit the limitations of individual perspectives. You trust somebody else. You do not turn away. June Jordan, a Jamaican American writer who spent her life using her writings and her voice to create a vision of liberation, captures the essence of activism in her poem. And when I think about her compelling vision and her compelling us to action. I see you. Being among you, my determined and dedicated and daring and dynamic and oh so elegant sisters, I am humbled and I am hopeful. I feel your power and your purpose from the time I stepped into this room, and it will carry me as we all go from this room. There just is no place I'd rather be than with you here tonight. Each of you is a magnificent reminder to our nation and to the world. Just as we have for 4 centuries, it is Black women who stand on the front lines of the fight for fairness and justice and equity for all, always. It is us. Melanie, I can't stand before this or any crowd without letting you know the impact you have on so many people, including me. I need to stand before this incredible group and let you know that while you see her in these spaces, she is influencing all over this country what this country will be. Give it up for Melanie Campbell. As I stand before you tonight representing the members of the NEA, I want to share with you that our members, our educators all over this country and throughout the world believe that all students deserve an education that provides them with the support and the tools they need in schools that can inspire that curiosity and imagination and desire to learn, where justice and joy prevail. We are dedicated to our work and we're passionate about what we do. We are preparing the next generations of leaders, represented by the women and girls who are sitting among us tonight. It is not just the duty of educators to ready our students for the responsibilities that they will hold. It is actually our great privilege to do just that. My father, Haywood Harrison Board, was a proud public school history teacher. I wish he were here still with me right now so I could just talk to him about this surreal reality we're living right now. The reality that in our public schools, books are being banned. The reality that public school educators are being attacked for trying to teach about this nation's true history. The reality that tries to hinder our public school students' freedom to learn. And as the grandfather of a gay grandchild, the reality of the intensified marginalization and hatred toward our LGBTQ+ community. As a history teacher, my dad would make me and my 2 sisters listen to him talk about the history of this nation and of the world. He would take us to Charlottesville, Virginia, where our ancestors were enslaved, and he would tell us the stories of the people who looked like us and the people who didn't. He wanted us to understand that when you follow the trajectories of civilizations or empires, of governments or societies throughout history, You can watch them rise and you can watch them fall. One of the things he was adamant about helping me learn is this. It didn't matter which society you were talking about when you started to see those who were in positions of power trying to diminish the opportunities for its citizens to learn. That was the warning sign for the ascent of fascist regimes and diminished rights, and the descent of democracies and freedoms. I don't think I need to tell anyone in this room that public education is the foundation of this or any democracy. So when we know the reality of what's happening, we must all understand what we are witnessing in this moment. As those of us who are in positions of power, those people, as we're watching what those people are doing, how they are trying to do everything they possibly can to undermine public education, to privatize it and voucherize it and drain it of its resources and then portray it as though it is failing. To demoralize the education professionals who have dedicated their lives to educating America's students, to marginalize and mischaracterize and other our children. Make no mistake, opponents of public education are doing everything they can to remove those things that would block their unfettered march toward power. Black women, that's you. That's you. They're doing everything they can to take away your right to organize and march. They're doing everything they can to take away your right to vote, to stand up and use your voice. Everything, because you're in their way. Make no mistake, they are preparing to put policies and people in place that we will be unable to reverse for generations. I need you to hear me. The very basis of the establishment of a system of apartheid. It starts by not allowing our students to have access to knowing the full breadth of their history. By limiting their ability to learn to think critically and to solve problems in a collaborative way. It starts by shrinking their curriculum. It starts by feeding the inequities that are built into every social system in this country. When the doors of the first public school opened in 1635, we can be certain that there was no thought, none, given to the educational needs of our ancestors. That truth is why, while we must promote and protect public education, ensuring that quality education for all, we must continue to transform public education into something it was never designed to be. A racially and socially just and equitable system that prepares every student, everyone to be successful and to thrive in this global and interdependent world. Like so many brilliant, strong, courageous women who have come before us, we must have the ability and the courage to speak honestly about our challenges and at the same time speak hopefully about the possibilities that lie ahead. Because you see, those possibilities are steeped in the work we must do together. And I know that you folks out here know how to get that done. You already showed up and showed out in 2022 and 2023. When we led voters to the poll. And they stood against this wave of right-wing hate and misinformation, and they elected people who are working with us to strengthen, not weaken, our nation. With only 236, believe it or not, 236 days between today and Election Day, I know you will do everything you can to use this time while you're together at this summit to inspire and encourage and learn from and support each other in owning your power. Together, we must and we will participate fully in creating a nation steeped in justice together. We must and we will preserve our democracy together. We must and we will listen to our ancestors whispering that reminder, don't turn away. Do what you know you must so that we have that joyous and just democracy. And I know as I look out in this audience, I know we're going to win all the things. We're going to win all the things. We're going to win all the things because that's what Black women do together. Thank you so very much for all you do for our students, for our communities, for your state, and for this country. Thank you.
President of National Education Association, the Becky Pringle. Another round of applause. Round of applause. You can do better than that. All right, so now I want to welcome to the stage back Melanie L. Campbell to the stage as we get some transition music for our, she's going to take us into the fireside chat with the Steve Phillips, How We Won the Civil War. Round of applause.
Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can we give, as I say, Reverend? Thank you, Becky. Thank you. I just appreciate you. We appreciate you. I don't care what she has going on. She shows up, and we know you in high demand because of what you do every day. But what I want to say publicly is also what you do when people don't see you on the outside, and you'll take the time to take a sister just to have a little sister talk and motivate me by just knowing that you will take that time. And it means a lot to me. And I just want to say thank you. And she will support us. She supports us every year. Her team is here. My Atlanta brother, Merwin Scott. I don't know what Brandon Cahey, right? And this is awesome because you see brothers and sisters together. Say brothers and sisters together. Brothers and sisters together. Because y'all know they're trying to take brothers and sisters apart. And so I'm looking for my brother. I'm looking for a brother. We're looking for a brother named Steve. I'm looking for my brother named Steve. Is Steve here? Hello, is Steve here? Hey, Sister Sheena. Did I lose him? Well, let me tell you what we're going to try to do. Hopefully it'll happen tonight because I know we are running a little behind. Can someone tell me, are we having a conversation or not? Well, let me tell you, one of the things that I'm hoping that we have tonight, and if we don't, we'll see if we can get Steve to come back and we'll do this conversation. Steve wrote a book called, he wanted to be here in person, but he couldn't, so we were trying to use this technology. Say technology is great when it works. Maybe if technology may be taking a nap. But he wrote this book, and if we don't get to talk to him tonight, we'll talk, see if we can work it out to get him to join. But Steve, oh, there he is. Hey, Steve Phillips, can you see me? I can see you, but we can't hear Steve. Can we hear him now? Technology. We're coming up? Okay. I bet we have another fix. Steve, I hope can you hear me? Great, great. Well, while we're waiting them to get where we can hear you, thank you so very much for joining us tonight. There he left again. And so Steve wrote this book while we're getting his audio together. Actually, he's done a revised and updated version of How We Win the Civil War. And it has a perspective that's, yes, talking about the past, but talking about the present. The other thing, so we're going to talk a little bit. See, we're not going to keep you long because I know you've been on for a while. But we want you to share. Can you say something else, Steve? Can somebody get him on the phone? Can someone call him on the cell? And so Steve, I'm gonna talk about you and talk about Steve Phillips. I met Steve. Steve, we met, I think it was in the 2000s, early 2000s, and laid the groundwork for 2008 to happen. Steve is a quiet storm. He's a powerful brother. We hadn't really had a chance. I saw you in Atlanta not long ago, maybe last year, but back in the 2000s, we were together with you and Ben and some of the rest of us, and that's how I met you. And Steve focused on making sure that Black folks supported our own politics, and they were able to get folks to really pour into organizations like mine, but many others, but to really make sure that Obama era happened. There were people like Steve Phillips who were behind the scenes making it happen. So I hadn't had a chance to say that to you in a long time, so I hope you hear that, and we're gonna thank you. So while we're waiting for audio to figure itself out, can y'all give me a thank you for Steve? And Steve, I'm gonna ask you a question because I want them to hear from you, and it's in the hours. You getting them on the phone? Steve, they're trying to get you on your phone. Hey, come on.
Okay, Steve, can you say something now?
I'm here, hoping to talk with Melanie and all the assembled folks.
Okay,
Steve, we're trying to see if I can get the audio guys to fix this. Can you guys amplify this sound in the back, please? Steve, can you say something again for us?
Yes, I'm not delighted to be with you guys. Looking
Yes.
forward to a conversation.
We hear you. Yes, yes, yes. So you're just gonna have to sit here and just sit here with me. All right, Steve. So Steve, so we're gonna dive right in because I know the hours is late. So tell us
first of all, what is how we win the Civil War? What's that all about? Is it about Black history? I mean, history of the country? Is it about today? I know it's about both, but tell us why you wrote it and why we should. And then you got that book cast sitting there, and I know that's in this book. Talk about. I see that book cast. Folks hadn't seen Origin. I've seen it, but Steve, can you just tell us why you wrote this book? Why is this important?
Oh, I can hear you. I can't hear you. I'm on that, but I think we lost the phone connection.
No, we're here. Can you?
Oh,
Melanie said, why did you write the book? Can you hear her? Hold on, me put my phone. Just, I didn't want to have feedback.
Steve, why did you write the book? Why did you write this book?
I wrote the book. Can you guys hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Great, okay. So first, thanks for having me, and thanks for all the work that you guys do. And I'm really glad you guys are having this gathering. I appreciate the invitation. I'm honored to be here. This is a continuation of the work that we've all been doing, right? And I wrote the first book, Brown is the New White, because people failed to understand the lessons of how and why Obama had won. And so they did not realize that it was a result of the continuation of the civil rights movement and the diversification of the country. And so I wrote that book to try to offer the strategy and the direction from the Obama years in terms of where we should go from there. And this book I was asked in 2020 by the publisher to write it. And there was so much division within the country with the polarization and all the hatred that had been unleashed with the Trump administration that I said, let's use the Civil War as a metaphor. And then 8 months after that, people carrying the Confederate flag, wearing sweatshirts saying MAGA Civil War, stormed the U.S. Capitol to stop the peaceful transfer of powers. It was not so metaphorical anymore. So I genuinely believe that this is an existential moment within our country around, are we going to keep moving forward to being a multiracial democracy, or are we going to go back to what I term in my book, making America white again? And so I was trying to show the lessons around how we got into this moment, that the Confederates had never stopped fighting the Civil War. And that in essence, this question around what kind of country is this is also the question that we're facing today. And most importantly is that also to lift up the lessons of where we have succeeded, where we have flipped states and had progress in areas that were formerly bastions of the Confederacy, Georgia, Arizona, Virginia, that what are the implications of those lessons for how we win in 2024 and beyond?
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Steve, can you hear me okay? Okay, great. So the other question about what are the ways that we can use this? Because to me, I want to make sure that I also give you the fact that you are New York Times best-selling author, right? And he wrote a book, Brown is the New White. And so you always can use something. How do we use what's in here for the organizing that we must do in these next few months? What are the one or two nuggets in here? And then I want to go to one last question for you, and that is understanding how we build power together, right? As we know, they're trying to divide Black women and Black men. We normally, Steve, we have the Women of Power Summit, but the Women of Power Summit, we always have a couple of brothers here, and so I'm glad you're here virtually. So what can we use that's in this book that we can use for our organizing for these next few months? And then I'll come back to the question about how we build power together and we won't let them divide us.
So a few different things on this in terms of how we build power. So one of the reasons, it's also in terms of why I wrote the book. So somebody asked me what I was most excited about in terms of rolling out the book. And what I said is that all of my life, we've been told by people in positions of power and influence and the progressive movement, well, yes, that people of color stuff, that Black stuff is important, but we need to win. So that has to take a back seat. We can't push that. That can't be the main thing that we do. And then I was like, wait a minute, we are winning. We won in Georgia, we've won in Arizona, we've won in Harris County, Texas, we've won in Virginia, we've won in San Diego. So if we want to win, we have to look to the people of color who have led the work that have flipped those states, and in particular, largely women of color, and in many of those places, African American women. So that's what I try to break down, or what I call the liberation battle plan, about how these states have transformed. And so looking at, there's core elements of having what I call level 5 leaders, someone who's leading the work, but is very kind of self-effacing, but determined and focused on building the movement and advancing the cause. Having a strong civic engagement organization that expands voter participation, transforms the population demographic revolution into an electoral demographic revolution. Detailed data-driven plans, looking at where are the voters, where should we concentrate our efforts, having spreadsheets around how to be able to do that, and then playing the long games. It took 10 years in all these different places. So looking at this year, the single most important thing to do is to maximize voter turnout in general, maximize turnout of voters of color in particular, and maximize turnout of African Americans most particular. So we do not, people don't want to face the reality that there's a profound racial vote gap. African Americans always vote at least 80, close to 90%, frankly, against the Republican, I think is the most accurate way to put it. And then, whereas the majority of whites always vote for Republicans. So the pillar of progressive support, Jesse Jackson said in the 84 speech, that when blacks vote in great numbers, progressive whites win, and it's the only way progressive whites win. So the single most important thing we need to do is to maximize voter turnout in general and voter turnout of African Americans in particular. And then let me speak to this point about the division people actually try to do in terms of, well, what about black men, et cetera. First of all, that lets, frankly, white voters off at the hook. And so what I try to explain to people is that black voters, black male voters are the single most progressive grouping in the entire country, with the exception of black women. And so don't get it twisted that like, oh, black men are no longer progressive, when it's like a matter of, maybe, 4 or 5 percentage points between 90 and 86% black men and black women. Whereas we need whites to rise to the occasion, but the majority of whites continue to vote against, frankly, multiracial democracy. So all of that, I think, is to say the imperative is to find the organizations, find the leaders, invest in them. And the other role that we can do is to pressure the progressive movement and the organizations and the people who control the money. Because there are going to be at least a couple $2 billion spent this year to make sure that that money, a large percentage of it, go to investing in the communities of color and turning out communities of color, turning out the black community, which is the most bedrock component of the Progressive Coalition.
So Steve, I just want to say, if you could just say, because I know the hours now, we're heading to the Hill in the morning. We're heading to the Supreme Court in the morning. And we're going to raise a little, we're going to touch all 3 levels of government. We got the Fearless Fund sisters here, so we'll be standing in solidarity with him, with those sisters, because of the attack on DE&I. And just really, really quickly, could you just lift up the fact that we are going to stand strong together? What is the things that you think that black women and men can do to push back against them trying to divide us? And then we're going to close out.
Well, I do feel like one of the central challenges that we face in politics is that there's bad math by the people in charge of the national political apparatus. And so they are of the belief that if you're too strong in support of racial equality in terms of black empowerment, that you're going to turn off white voters, and that therefore we have to downplay this. And so I think there's a very important both quantitative and qualitative role that black women in particular have to play maximizing those numbers, because that's the most progressive population within the country, period. And then particularly focusing on younger Black women, making sure that, because young people don't have to vote in as large a level. But the other piece is the moral voice. And it is the moral voice that Black women have always had within this country, right? Nathaniel and Hamer talking about, is this America? So we're just 4 years removed from the murder of George Floyd. All of these expressions of concern for racial justice, you don't hear about that anymore. People are backtracking, all these attacks on like DEI, et cetera. People said in 2020 that Black lives matter. Do they still matter? Do we care? And are we willing to take that stand and challenge the country to rise to the level of commitment that was articulated back in 2020? And so I think there's a specific and historic and symbolic and powerful role of the voice of Black women to challenge the people at the top levels of politics and challenge the electorate overall to return to those core values that were articulated in that brief moment of 2020. And what I try to lay out is that not only is the morally right thing to do, but it's also an electorally winning strategy.
Thank you, Steve. And thank you for working through our technical difficulties. We have we have 100 of these books that we will be giving away to the first 100 people that show up on time on Friday morning. So make sure that you're here. And Steve, we want to have another conversation with you, definitely, to see if maybe we can do some kind of. Where did we go? Y'all take them off? Okay, I'm gonna give y'all a 1-day pass. So by tomorrow night, yes, indeed, the audio-visual people will have it together. Say amen on audio-visual. So here's what we're gonna do, because the hour is late, and I don't see a whole lot of people have left. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do bring Joe Taker up here, and we're gonna do a speed date with all the affiliate leaders. Y'all come on up here, bring your people. And we're gonna come up here with our sister Joe Taker, Edie, who changed her schedule so she would be here with us tonight. We know we're a little bit, we're supposed to be here till 8:45. So the folks who left, knew we were supposed to be here at 8:45. A lot of us been here all day. But she's gonna call up our state leaders and wanna come up here. And then we're gonna take the time to make just sure we introduce the folks who are the Black Women's Roundtable. Yes, I'm the national convener, but we're gonna call up and just do roll call with our folks. And we want y'all to just give us a little quick, how we own our power. And we're gonna get on out of here. Can we get out of here in 20 minutes? Okay, 20 minutes? Bar the door, 20 minutes. Okay.
All righty, good afternoon. Good evening. Black Women's Roundtable, are you in the house? Good evening. Now we're gonna do some dating. We're gonna do some speed dating with some powerful Black women. So as we do this now, sisters, you see the program. If you are in the block following the block that is on the stage, I ask that you move yourself to this table so that we can quickly come to the table. We're going to move quickly, but we are going to be intentional. We are going to hear from the Black women that are on the ground across the country that are saving America and our communities every single day. We are going to start here in the DMV, in the DMV. We are in Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Let's bring up Krista Jones, co-convener of the Virginia Black Women's Roundtable, Laverne Chapman, co-convener of Virginia's Black Women's Roundtable, LaWanna Brown, Maryland Black Women's Roundtable, Robin Williams, Maryland's Black Women Roundtable, and Monica Ray, my home city of Washington, D.C. Come on down. All right, sisters, we're going to let Monica come on up here. Yes, next up is Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, so if you can make your way. Yes. All righty, sisters, I want to start with, first of all,
Good evening. How are you? Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, mic's on. Mic check. One, since we got Queen Latifah, Sister Soldier in the room. So I want to first start with you, Monica. I want to say a question about Washington, D.C. Now, we know I live here. We have representation, no representation, taxation. We do have good representation, but we don't have that vote that we deserve and that we need. Talk to us about the pivotal issues here in Washington, D.C., and what should we be looking for and thinking about?
I would be an irresponsible District of Columbia resident if I didn't say statehood.
That's right.
We should not have.
That's a clap. DC statehood is a clap, y'all. Come on, let's go. Yes.
We shouldn't have 700,000 residents without a vote in Congress. We pay more taxes than 14 states, yet we are underrepresented. So I think there's no bigger issue for us than statehood right now.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Now I want to talk about Maryland. Okay, now y'all know about Angela Austin Brooks. I know we're 501c3, but it is just factual information that there is a Black woman that is running for the United States Senate. Yes. That's just facts. Yes. We're not saying who to vote for, but we know we need to make sure we vote. But let's talk about Maryland. Now, what is Maryland cooking up outside of some history, I hope?
Well, right now, what we are focused on is first off voting, because we know we have the primaries that are coming up, and we want to make sure that everyone gets out to vote. This is a critical election cycle, and we want to make sure that we have people that are representing us and that have our best interests at heart, starting with Black women, right? Economically, healthcare, education, childcare. So we want to make sure that the people that are representing us, people that we put in office are actually doing the work, boots to the ground, listening to organizations like Black Women's Roundtable and making sure that they are taking care of the people that have put them there.
Thank you. Now I want to talk about Virginia. Anybody from Virginia in the house? We are in Virginia. Now we know Virginia, we got Black women, but we got some history in Virginia too. Talk to us about both the history in Virginia and what we have to overcome in Virginia.
So Virginia, thankfully in 2019, we had a huge progressive wave. So for so long we were behind, we were last on almost every list we could think of, particularly with voting rights. But we were able to have a huge progressive wave. We had a little bit of a backslide a few years ago, but now we're moving forward progressively. So a few things that Virginia has been able to protect have been our voting rights. Reproductive justice has been huge. That's another issue that is really important to us. But as we move forward, we not only have the presidential this year, we have an election next year.
Yes.
So we are always thinking, because Virginia, there's an election every year. So we're always thinking about that next election. So voting is always at the top of our list.
Voting is at the top of the list. As we close out from the DMV, I want you to give me one word. I'm going to start with DC. We'll go to Virginia. Then we're going to go to Maryland. Monica, start you out. One word. What would you say to everybody? One word as you close out.
Vote.
Joy.
She stole my word. It was vote.
Vote. All right, let's give it up, everybody, for the DMV. Thank you, sisters. Now, let's welcome. We're going to go to the Midwest. We're going to go to Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Let's welcome Reverend Dr. Judith Moore, Western Pennsylvania Black Women's Roundtable, and the CEO and founder of Sisters Saving Ourselves Now, Tiffany Dominique, convener of the Greater Philadelphia Black Women's Roundtable, Tamika Ramsey, Eastern Michigan Metro Detroit Black Women's Roundtable, and Sequoia Howard, coordinator of Black Youth Vote, Eastern Michigan Metro Detroit. Come on, sisters. Let's give a round of applause. And we're going to keep going because we got some on the second page. I'm so sorry. It's called Turn the Page, right? And we're going to also welcome Sister Stephanie Moore, convener of the Kalamazoo, Michigan Black Women's Roundtable, Amir Williams, Kalamazoo Black Youth Vote Coordinator, Jakayla Lipsy, Kalamazoo Black Youth Vote Coordinator, Petey Talley, convener of the Ohio Unity Coalition, co-convener of the Ohio Black Women's Roundtable, and Angela Woodson, co-convener of Ohio Black Women's Roundtable. I love it, as Shirley Chisholm said, if there is not a seat at the table, bring a chair. That is the spirit. Now, I'm just going to popcorn this out, and I'm just going to start. I want to start with Amira. Where's Amira at? Amira, Black Youth Vote. What? Yes. Let's give it up. Where's Black Youth Vote in the house? Yes. Amira. Now, we have been hearing about young people and this myth that young people are saying, we're not going to vote. We don't want to vote. Tell me, what is it that young people are doing in Kalamazoo in your community to ensure that you are voting?
So right now our main campaign is ranked choice voting. We did have it on the ballot this past November 8th for the Michigan general election. It did pass with over 70% of voters voting yes for ranked choice voting. We were able to canvass on our college campus as well as our local neighborhoods to do some lit drop and some text banking, phone banking. And we recently actually just had some workshops with some high school students to teach them ranked choice voting, so they'll be knowledgeable when they come out of high school and get ready for their first time voting.
Absolutely. Congratulations on that. Now, Miss Petey, I want to come to you. Ohio. Yes. Everybody says, as goes Ohio, as goes the nation. Tell us about Ohio and what are people talking about in Ohio and what are Black women doing in Ohio?
So thank you, Jokeda. I sit here tonight reporting something I could not have reported last year. I am a resident of the state that enshrined reproductive freedom and rights in our state's constitution.
Actually, the last one.
So as Ohioans, we fought for, and we Black women took the fight to our neighborhoods and to our communities, and we passed issue 1, protecting our say over what we do with our bodies. Oh, it was hard work. It was really hard work, but you see, they thought they had us on the run. But we fought back. They tried to change the Constitution to make it harder for us to pass an issue like reproductive rights. We fought back and we beat that issue, and we turned out enough votes in our community. Had we not turned out, issue 1 on reproductive rights would not have passed. And Black people, 83% of us gave our vote to pass issue 1, higher than any other group. But it was Black women who had to take that fight. And I want to thank Melanie and the National Coalition for all of the support she gave us. I want to thank my sister Tamika Ramsey from Michigan, who sent us the playbook from Michigan on how to get it done. I want to thank Holly Holiday, who sent money to us from Sisters Lead, Sisters Vote to get it done. And I just want to say, we got it done and we're ready for 2024.
Thank you. Yes, on that Amendment 1. Now, I want to come to you, Tamika, because you gave a playbook and you also did what Black women always do. And what we do is we work across borders, across lines, and we support each other. Talk about, number 1, that support, but also talk about Michigan, because Michigan has some very important elections that are in the state as well. A Senate seat and some other seats as well.
Yes. So we work under I Am My Sister's Keeper. And so when Petey called and said we need some help, we got the person who was responsible for Michigan passing reproductive freedom on the phone and talked them through it. We don't have to recreate the wheel. We have expertise in our network, and we just need to pull Black women experts who get the job done. In Michigan, we have fought for reproductive freedom. We are fighting for gun laws that protect our children. But we have a Senate seat that for the first time, we can have a Black man senator from the state of Michigan. So we are doing the work that we need to make sure that Black issues are on the top of the ballot. and that we are focused on our issues. In Michigan, it's a little bit different because we have the largest Middle Eastern community outside of the Middle East. And the abandoned Biden campaign was real, right? They were looking for 10,000. They got over 100,000 uncommitted votes. Black people have been voting for the lesser of two evils forever. So we know the stress that they're going through, but we know if we don't vote, that could be the life of our family member or our community member. And so keeping our partnership with our Muslim sisters and brothers while trying to get them to understand the importance of not pulling away, because not only will their communities be hurt, but ours will too, and we're not willing to take that chance.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I want to go to Philadelphia, where there is now a mayor, Sherelle Parker, who is a Black woman, first Black woman mayor